Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Public Service Commission of South Carolina. Today is January the 18th. It is 10 a.m. We're here today for a Class E household goods certificate of public convenience and necessity for operation of a motor vehicle carrier. If you would, please join me in a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Present in the hearing room, we have Commissioners Jay Williams, Powers, and Belzer. Joining us virtually, we have Commissioners Thomas and Commissioner Caston. And joining us by phone, we have Commissioner, joining us in the hearing room, we have Commissioner Carol Lee Williams. And joining us by phone, we have Commissioner Urban. All right, with all commissioners being present and ready for the hearing, I'm going to turn it over to our lawyer in this case, Attorney David Stark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, if it pleases you, I'll read the docket. Commissioners, we are here for the application of Tytan-Up Moving and Delivering Services, LLC, for a Class E household goods certificate of public convenience and necessity for operation of a motor vehicle carrier. The docket number is 2021-325-T. It is scheduled to be held at this time, January 18th, that's Tuesday, at 10 a.m. in the offices of the Commission and virtually. Mr. Chairman, I believe the docket to be in order.
All right, thank you, sir. Let's take appearances from the parties. Is the applicant present?
Yes, sir. This is Victoria Kurtz. I am the attorney for the applicant, and Preston Hearn, along with Patricia Richardson, are both virtually attending as well.
All right, thank you, counsel. Pleasure to meet you. Happy to be here. Happy for you to be here.
Thank you.
And your clients. Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Office of Regulatory Staff.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Williams. Donna Rainey for ORS.
All right, good morning, Attorney Rainey. Thank you for being here with us this morning. All right, if there are no preliminary matters that we need to address, we can go ahead with this hearing. Attorney Kurtz, if you would, please call your first witness.
Yes, sir. Patricia.
Yes, ma'am.
We will start with you. Mr. Chairman, we filed direct testimony prior to the hearing, which was accepted. Would you like me to go through the direct testimony with my client before the commission?
Sure.
Okay. Trish, while I pull up your prior direct testimony, go ahead.
Attorney Kurtz, I'm being told that that direct testimony was not filed with the commission, or let me restate that we didn't receive it.
Okay. I will resend that again, and I will right now go through that direct testimony.
Okay. All right.
For the purpose of getting it on the record today.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Patricia, would you state your first and last name for the commission and spell it?
Patricia Richardson.
I'm sorry, Attorney Kurtz. I made a mistake there by not instructing the witness to pause so that she could be sworn in. If you would, Ms. Witness, take a second to raise your right hand to be sworn in by our court reporter.
Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Patricia, this is Victoria. I will go ahead and start. Will you please state your full name and spell it for the commission?
Patricia Richardson. PATRICIA
And will you please state your current employer and the business address for your employer?
Tytan-Up Moving and Delivering Services, LLC, 9011 Chateau Court, CHATO Court, Somerville, South Carolina, 29483.
Are you employed by anyone else currently?
Yes.
Will you please state that information as well for the record?
Yes. It is Bella Pazza, Crazy Beautiful, LLC, BELLA, PAZZA.
And can you explain to the commission briefly what Bella Pazza does and who employs you through Bella Pazza?
So I am the sole owner of Bella Pazza, and it is a beauty salon.
Thank you. Can you state the address of Bella Pazza Salon?
100 West Richardson, Suite C, Somerville, South Carolina, 29483.
Thank you. To your knowledge, is Tytan-Up organized to transact business in the state of South Carolina?
Yes.
Do you know how it was formed?
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe what kind of entity Tytan-Up is?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Could you describe to the commission what kind of entity Tytan-Up is?
We are a moving and delivering company.
And a limited, is Tytan-Up, to your knowledge,
An LLC.
a liability company in South Carolina?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. What is the purpose of your testimony today before the commission?
To obtain a certificate number to operate business.
Thank you. Can you give a brief background of how you became associated with Tytan-Up?
Preston and I created Tytan-Up Moving and Delivering Services after we decided that he no longer wanted to work for another company and wanted to obtain our own.
Thank you. And can you please tell the commission briefly about your education and work history?
My highest level of education is 12th grade high school diploma. And what was the other question? I'm sorry.
Your work history?
My work history is I have worked for multiple beauty salons in the past. And in 1999, I moved to the state of South Carolina, to which I worked for other beauty salons as well. I'm legalized in the state of South Carolina through the LLR for my cosmetology license, and decided 13 years ago to open up my own salon.
Where did you obtain your cosmetology license from?
Initially in the state of New Jersey, and then I had transferred it to South Carolina.
Okay, and where did you go to school for cosmetology?
In the state of New Jersey, in Jackson, New Jersey.
Thank you. With Tytan-Up, how do you intend to train your employees?
If I hire any employees for office work, it'll be me to train one-on-one, and then anybody else that comes in for moving and delivering purposes, the physical aspect of it, that'll be Preston's area for training.
Thank you. To your knowledge, does Tytan-Up currently have a tariff?
On file, no, that's the purpose of today.
Okay. How does Tytan-Up intend to quote the cost of a move for their customers?
Can you repeat the question?
How does Tytan-Up intend to quote the cost of a move for a customer?
Our estimates are generated per hour. We'd like to show up in person and give a true estimate, a fair estimate. If that's not possible, then we ask for a full description of what exactly they would like moved, and then we estimated how long per hour it would take.
Do you provide them a printed estimate, or do you provide them a verbal estimate?
Both, actually.
And how do you provide a printed estimate?
I generate it through an app called Invoices to Go, and then we send out via email. The email when they receive, if they agree to it and would like to use our services, then they have the option of approving it.
Thank you. To your knowledge, does Tytan-Up have a bill of lading?
Yes, ma'am. Right now, we are in the process of trying to get that approved.
Will Tytan-Up provide a bill of lading to its customers for each move that it conducts?
Yes, ma'am. I print off 2 copies and send them both with the driver, and they both get signed after things are completed.
Are there any outstanding court orders or judgments against you that you are aware of?
No, ma'am.
Are you aware of any complaints that have been filed against Tytan-Up or you with the Better Business Bureau, the Chamber of Commerce, or any state or municipal court or agency?
No, ma'am.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime?
No, ma'am.
Do you currently have a driver's license?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that a South Carolina issued driver's license?
Yes, ma'am. A real ID.
Thank you. Do you currently have any points on your license for moving violations?
Not that I'm aware of.
To your knowledge, have you provided the commission with a 10-year driver record from the South Carolina Department of Motor Vehicles?
Yes, ma'am.
Has your South Carolina driver's license ever been suspended?
No, ma'am.
Are you familiar with and do you agree to comply with the statutes and regulations that govern the operation of intrastate household good movers in South Carolina?
Can you repeat the question?
Are you familiar with and do you agree to comply with the statutes and regulations that govern the operation of intrastate household goods movers in South Carolina?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Does this conclude all of your testimony for the commission?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, that will conclude the testimony of Patricia Richardson. And I will now take the direct testimony of Preston Hearn. If the
Attorney-
commission would like to swear him in.
We will get to your next witness after cross-examination and commissioner questions.
Thank you.
No problem, ma'am. Any cross-examination of this witness from the Office of Regulatory Staff?
No, Chairman Williams.
All right. Commissioner questions for this witness?
Mr. Chairman,
Excuse me, Vice Chair Belzer.
thank you. Good morning, Ms. Richardson.
Good morning.
Ms. Richardson, it sounds like you're going to be the office manager. Would that be?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
No, that's fine. The bill of lading, did you prepare that or did Mr. Hearn?
No, I did.
Okay. And the contract terms and conditions, where did you get those?
It was provided through, it was a generated copy of what was out there. So I pulled all the information of samples that I saw from other companies and try to create our own.
Okay. Is one of the documents you used the uniform bill of lading for movers?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question.
Okay. Is one of the documents that you found and located and used to get this, is that from a document titled the Uniform Bill of Lading?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you made a photo, or you made a printout or a copy of it, is that correct?
You mean like an original?
Yes.
That I printed out? Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is that what has been provided to us seems to be cut off. There are letters or possibly words missing on both margins. So it's,
No.
so
Sorry.
no. Well, I mean it happens, and so I just wanted to make you aware of that. And so y'all may need to submit a
A new copy.
a complete copy that contains all of the letters. And I do note that, did you make any changes to those contract terms and conditions?
To fit Titan-Up moving and delivering services, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and also, and was one of those changes, to change the number of days that, a shipper would have to file a claim for damage?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recall what was in the original?
I believe the original was 90.
Okay, maybe, okay, and you changed it, y'all decided on, 72 hours or 3 days, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you ever moved? You ever utilized the services of a professional mover?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and was that an in-state move or an out-of-state move?
Both.
Okay, and do you have all of your boxes gone through and unpacked within 72 hours of that move?
Yes, ma'am.
You do?
I do.
Okay, and were you required to go through the boxes while they were still there or anything before?
The only thing that I was required to do is to check all of the large pieces to make sure that there were no scuffs or any kind of damage. Boxes I was allowed, I really don't recall, it was so long ago, but it was a couple of days worth to be able to go through to make sure there was no further damage.
And when you made your move, did you utilize the mover for packing services, or did you do those yourself?
No, ma'am, I pack everything myself.
Okay. And are you familiar with the tariff that y'all are proposing for Titan-Up?
Yes, ma'am.
And in y'all's tariff, if the shipper packs, then y'all are saying y'all aren't liable for damage. Is that correct?
If the shipper packs, we are not.
The
Yes.
boxes, is that correct? Does that sound correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And if you're not sure, that's fine. I'll accept I'm not sure at this point, but.
No, it's just I'm having a hard time hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just tell me to
It's
speak
okay.
up. Tell me to speak up. Okay. Can you get with your attorney and submit a complete page for the contract terms and conditions, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate your testimony this morning. Thank you. That's
Thank
all
you.
I have,
We
Mr.
appreciate you.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any more questions for this witness?
Chairman Williams,
Commissioner Williams, you have the floor, ma'am.
thank you. Ms. Richardson, my comment is also about the contract terms and conditions and kind of picks up where Vice Chair Belzer left off. I wonder if, as you improve that page, if it's possible for it to be more legible. It does look like it's a copy as opposed to, and very tiny font, and I suspect there's a way to make it more legible. So would you agree to do that at the same time?
Yes, ma'am, I can try. I battled back and forth with that without trying to make it into several pages.
I understand that. I think when you are using a font that you can control, you will be more successful.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. No further questions.
Okay, are there any more questions? Commissioner Powers.
Thank you. Ms. Richardson, you are charging by the hour, but you're talking about 60 cents per pound as far as indemnifying someone for damages. Where is your truck weighed once it's loaded?
Where is it weighed?
Yes, you're talking about poundage. How do you know how many pounds you got on your truck?
Our truck only holds a certain amount of pounds, period, but we have a weigh station that's close by.
Oh, is that the practice that once you load it, you're going to weigh it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, my comment is I've moved several times and I've still got boxes that aren't unpacked. I think 72 hours is not unreasonable. Would you agree to a 30-day period to give people a fair chance? I mean, some people move, then have to go back home have the stuff waiting for them?
I'm sorry, I had a hard time hearing that last part.
Would you agree to a 30-day period rather than 72 hours?
I just feel that past the 72 hours, anything can happen after it's out of our hands. And who's to say in what way or another, whether it was our or the person that delivered, that way we deliver to, who's to say that it's our company that did the damage as opposed to the person who received it or shipped it
Okay.
after it sits in their home for 30 days.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Powers. Ma'am, I have one question for you, if you don't mind. It's in reference to the amount of time given to your customers to report damaged goods. Is there a best practice or industry standard when it comes to setting a length of time or suspense date to report damaged goods from the moves? Because everyone has an opinion, and at some point we have to make a decision that's just and reasonable. And I'm just wondering whether or not there's some industry standards out there that could help give the commission some guidance regarding a reasonable amount of time for a shipper to discuss or to claim damages from the move, one that's fair to them, but also not burdensome to the mover.
Are you asking me what an appropriate time is?
Not necessarily, just asking, is there industry standards? I don't know if there's a household goods movers association or something you experienced in your past to make you believe that 72 hours is appropriate, as opposed to a shorter or longer length of time.
In my experience personally, I feel like it's plenty of time. However, I've taken the time to research other companies, and other companies have various different time frames. So I went with the time frame that I felt was most appropriate.
All right. Are there any more questions for this witness? All right, ma'am. Seeing there are no more questions for you, you may step down, and you are excused.
Thank you.
Attorney Kurtz, if you would, please call your next witness and pause to have them sworn in by our court reporter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will call Preston Hearn as my next witness.
Mr. Hearn, if you would, please take the stand and pause to be sworn in by our court reporter.
If you would raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Hearn. I will go ahead and start with, please state your full name and spell it for the commission.
My name is Preston Hearn, Prestonhearn.
And who is your current employer?
Tytan-Up Moving and Delivering Services.
And what is the business address of Tytan-Up Moving and Delivering Services?
9011 Chateau Court, Summerville, South Carolina, 29483.
And to your knowledge, is Tytan-Up organized to do business in the state of South Carolina?
Yes, that's what we're trying to do.
And is Tytan-Up organized as a South Carolina limited liability company?
Yes.
Are you familiar with the members of that limited liability company?
Not completely, I don't think.
Does it sound accurate that Preston Hearn and Patricia Richardson are the members of Tytan-Up?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Moving and
I'm
Delivering
sorry.
Services LLC?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I apologize for the confusion. And what is the purpose of your testimony today?
to be able to perform our duties in South Carolina for moving and delivering service.
Okay, and as part of that, is it your understanding that you need to obtain a Class E certificate of public convenience and necessity?
That's it. Yes, ma'am.
And are you seeking to obtain the Class E certificate for statewide authority?
Yes, I am.
How did you become associated with Tytan-Up?
Uh, Me and Patricia decided to start Tytan-Up. I worked previously with a moving company and thought there was a need for it, and we decided to branch out and start up our own company.
What moving company did you previously work for?
I worked for Dale J. Cook Moving and Storage in North Charleston.
Okay, thank you. Are you familiar with any of their policies or practices from working there?
Yes. I drove my own truck there and was basically the leader of my crew.
And are you familiar with the time frame that customers had to report damage to Dale J. Cook?
Um, I believe on that one it was I'm not sure. It might have been 30 days though.
Okay, that's okay. It's okay if you're not sure. So will you go ahead and tell the commission, please, about your education and work history?
Yeah, I graduated high school 1997 from Pahrump, Nevada, and after that I worked for a fence company for 7 years, and then got into doing line work for the power company, and I did that for 12 years. I was a journeyman lineman and went to Northwest Lineman College. Like I said, I worked there for 12 years and then decided to leave and come to South Carolina and start a new business.
And when did you move to South Carolina? What year?
2017, I think.
Okay. And what did you do for work once you moved to South Carolina?
Actually, right when I got here, I started working for Dale J. Cook Moving and Storage. I met with them and they hired me on.
And how long did you work for Dale J. Cook Moving and Storage?
2.5 years.
Thank you. Will you please describe the services that Tytan-Up would like to provide to its customers in South Carolina?
Any kind of moving, delivering that they need. We can lift it and move it.
Okay. And will your moving services be residential moving services?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. And I believe we already know the answer to this question, but do you have experience providing moving services?
Yes, ma'am.
And does that experience come from your time at Dale J. Cook Moving and Storage?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain what your job duties at Dale J. Cook Moving and Storage were?
Yes, I have a CDL, so I was main driver and then in charge of between 1 to 5 guys, and we would go out and move people from house to house, local deliveries or such like that.
Thank you. How do you intend to train your employees for Tytan-Up?
Anybody will be working directly underneath me, so I'll be supervising them and teaching.
Okay. And how many employees will Tytan-Up have?
To start out with, it'll probably just be me and one other person, and then hopefully more as we grow.
And just to elaborate a bit on that, it will be you and one other person doing the physical moving, or just you and Trish?
No, me and one other person doing the physical moving.
And Patricia Richardson will be doing the office management work?
Correct.
Thank you. Will Titan-Up moving be insured?
Yes,
Have you obtained an insurance quote already?
we have.
And does Titan-Up plan to acquire any vehicles, or do you currently have any vehicles?
We do. We have an E350 box truck at this time. A
Okay.
17-footer.
Thank you. Why do you feel that there's a need for Titan-Up's moving service in South Carolina?
There's a ton of people moving out here or moving away, so there is a need for it. Yeah, I saw that at Dale J. Cook, and I was asked all the time if we could do stuff on the side. So there's definitely business there.
Okay. And how do you intend to reach your customer base?
A lot by word of mouth. That's generally how we like to do it. But you know, anything that we could do, I try to put my cards out there as much as I can.
Okay.
Probably pick out an ad or something like that in the future.
And to your knowledge, is Titan-Up financially able to provide the moving services to the public?
Yes, ma'am.
To your knowledge, are there any outstanding court orders or judgments against you?
No, ma'am.
And are you aware of any complaints that have been filed against Titan-Up or you with the Better Business Bureau, the Chamber of Commerce, or any state or municipal court or agency?
No.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime?
No.
Do you currently have a driver's license in South Carolina?
I do. I have a CDL for South Carolina.
Okay. And do you have any points on your driving license for moving violations?
No, ma'am.
To your knowledge, have you provided the commission with a 10-year driving record from the South Carolina Department of Motor Vehicles?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Has your driver's license ever been suspended in South Carolina?
No.
Over the next 5 years, what are your goals for Titan-Up moving and delivering services?
I would like to see us grow and possibly have more employees and, yeah, just do really good.
And do you see this becoming a full-time career for yourself?
That's what it's intended for sure. Yeah, I would love to be full-time.
Great. Are you aware if Titan-Up has published a notice of application through the Post and Courier?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And are you familiar with and do you agree to comply with the statutes and regulations that govern the operation of intrastate household goods movers in South Carolina?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to ask one specific question regarding the tariff in order to follow up on a prior question, which is the cost of damage being 60 cents per pound of the item that was damaged. In your experience, how do you determine what 60 cents per pound of a particular item is?
It would have to be weighed or,
Okay.
yeah, it would have to be weighed.
And is the way you obtain weight for the 60 cents per pound per item through weight of the entire box truck or per the item which is damaged?
Per the item.
Okay. And does this conclude your testimony for me today?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And Mr. Commissioner, that will conclude my portion of the testimony of Preston Hearn.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Is there any cross-examination from Attorney Rainey?
No, Chairman Williams.
Questions from commissioners? Commissioner Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you want to pay me 60 cents per pound for a Tiffany lamp if you break it?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you know,
No, it would be, if somebody had something of high value, we would have to note it as something of high value. We're not going to, give you 60 cents for a Tiffany lamp for sure. It would have to be valued out as a high value item.
well, in looking at your tariff and application, it seems like there's some sort of denial of liability in there. You realize you have to pay a fair goods. A better question, do you notify anybody that's hiring you? What sort of notice you give them as far as having their own private insurance or an additional plan or additional insurance to cover such things that you obviously don't want to pay?
Right. I would have to talk to somebody about that with the customer, but a lot of, if it's too high value, then we wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't want to do something that's out of my means if we're talking, a ridiculous amount.
Okay. In your tariff, you quote prices for 2 men in a truck, 3 men in a truck, and 4 men in a truck, which is
Correct.
something that you're ready to offer if necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any sort of workers' compensation insurance if you're going to have these people working for you?
To start out with, it is just going to be me and one other person. I would have to, if we were going to expand, then I would have to look into that. But I mean, right as it starts right now, it would just be me and one other person.
Okay. If that one
So it's just future.
If that one other person falls off that truck and breaks an arm or a leg or a neck, you realize that you'd be held responsible. And if you don't have workers' compensation insurance, it's going to come out of your pocket.
I do.
Do you see maybe there's a necessity for it?
Possibly. Yeah, I could see that.
Okay. When you worked at Cook, did you have was there a manual to train drivers and workers?
Not really. On the job training. Yeah, with just basically on the job.
Okay. But for now, you'll be the only driver.
Correct.
And if there are any other drivers, what sort of procedure would you have to check their driver's records and history?
Well, as far as it goes right now, like I said, it'll just be me as the only driver. If I have another guy come in to drive, I would have to vet it and see exactly what their record is.
Okay. And you said at Cook, you feel like it was 30 days to report any sort of damage.
I believe so.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions for this witness? Vice Chair Belzer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Hearn.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. I have some questions about the tariff, if
Okay.
You would. Do you have a copy with you?
I do not.
Okay.
have one on me.
I'm sure that Ms. Richardson and your attorney may be taking some notes, but I'm on page 4 of the tariff under section 1.2, which says office hours and minimum hourly charges. And after the minimum hourly charges are listed, there is a paragraph describing what happens after that the hourly rates are calculated in 30-minute increments. But then near the end of that paragraph, it says if a customer fails to cancel within 24 hours of their move or delivery date, Tytan-Up Moving shall retain the required 50% non-refundable deposit due upon booking. how is that deposit calculated? I don't see anything in the tariff regarding that. Is that 50% of the minimum charge or 50% of the estimated entire move?
That's a good question. You'd have to ask Victoria on that one.
All right, we will recall Ms. Richardson in a minute, or I will ask to do that. On page 5 of the tariff, there is a section 2.1 called bulky article charges per item, listing like everything from appliances, gun cabinets to golf carts. And then there is a 2.3 excessive distance or long carry charges. And it says Titan charges an additional fee for carrying articles listed in section 2.1 above an excessive distance to or from the motor vehicle. Yet I don't find a fee for that, and I don't see anything indicating how that fee or how excessive distance is determined. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do. Generally, I know we did it at the Cooks by steps, because sometimes you don't have access to a driveway, or if it's say like on the 3rd floor of an apartment building, it's going to be a lot harder to do those jobs. So yeah, we'll have to put something in there, probably per step. I would think.
Are you talking about the steps that the mover makes, or stairs, like up and down stairs?
The actual steps that a mover would have to make. So it could be upstairs, or I say they have an extremely long driveway that you cannot pull up on. It'd be the steps from the truck to the house.
Well, I do note that in section 2.2 it says Titan does not charge an additional fee for elevator or stair carry. And then it says except as specified in section 2.1. Well, 2.1 is the bulky articles. So, and it's not really specified in 2.1 that additional steps may apply. So there is no rate associated with that, and there is no methodology to determine how to calculate the rate that would be charged. So that's kind of that's a different, just be aware of that. Also, in section 2.4, pickup and delivery, let me ask you this. Is it better to ask all these questions to Ms. Richardson? I thought with your experience that you would have been the person to ask about these tariff provisions.
Probably Victoria.
Okay. All right, hold on a second. Okay, you got some questions on the insurance and the 60 cents per pound valuation. Y'all are not moving by weight, is that correct? You're moving by time.
Correct.
Okay. So, heaven forbid, if the truck was in a wreck and everything on the truck was destroyed, there's no way to do the valuation of 60 cents per pound, is there?
If it crashed on the way to weighing it.
Okay. But you don't normally weigh. There's nothing on your bill of lading indicating that y'all are weighing the shipment.
Right.
Just something to think about.
Right. Okay.
Do y'all offer any kind of excess insurance that a shipper could purchase for coverage of actual value versus the 60 cents per pound?
Not that I know of.
Okay. And you were asked about the okay, scratch that. Mr. Chairman, I do have another question. Do you move freight in addition to household goods? Do you offer your services for other commodities other than household goods?
Yes.
Okay. And the reason I'm asking is because of the affidavit. Do you have the proper certification from either federal or state authorities to move things other than household goods? Like motor carrier services through, I'm not sure if it's motor vehicle department or the highway or transportation department. Do you have certification from them?
No, ma'am.
Are you aware of that?
Just for like, if I wanted to get a DOT number?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
No, if you're moving any kind of freight, I just noticed that your affidavit is from somebody that is more of a freight broker than household goods. And so
okay.
if he's sending business to you, you need a certificate from the Division of Motor Carriers with, I don't know if it's the state DOT or the highway department.
Yeah.
They've changed offices, and I'm not sure where they are. Are you licensed by them? Do you have authority from them?
We are not, but I am going to get a motor carrier number, a DOT number, so I will be able to do that kind of freight.
Okay, DOT is federal, but I think you need to check.
Right.
You need to get with your lawyer and check into being able to move in South Carolina. It's not. It's just a certification process. I don't think.
Okay.
It's my recollection, although I haven't looked at that. But I don't want you to get in trouble there by not having that.
No.
So,
For sure.
so just be aware of that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no more questions for this witness, but I would like to recall Ms. Richardson at some point.
Chairman Williamson, Commissioner Caston.
Okay. Commissioner Casting, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you. And good morning, Mr. Hearn.
Good morning.
This is fun, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I guess it's a follow-up question on the, I guess, notice of damage or notifying of damage. What was your experience at your previous employer with any customer claims? Were you aware of any claims during your tenure with your previous?
Sure. Yeah, we had claims. A lot in particular, the particle board moving cheaper furniture, and yeah, having that break.
Do you have a feel for how much time elapsed before those claims were made or company were made known?
Generally it was pretty much right away. We would know. Like I said, because it'd be the furniture. As far as like anything that was packed, is that what you're talking about?
Well, just whatever your experience was, range, whether it was stuff packed or damage to the house, maybe if you were moving the furniture in.
Right. It was usually within a day or two.
Okay. But I think, if I understood you correctly, you said you thought that the previous employers had a 30-day notice or thereabouts. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay. And your experience was that if there was at least damage you were aware of, that it was within that 30-day frame, usually less?
Yes.
A day or two, I think you said.
Mm-hmm. Okay. A day or two.
All right. Thank you. I have no more questions, Chairman Williams.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Chairman Williams. Mr. Hearn, it's good to see you today.
Hello, good to see you.
As part of your application, there's a section entitled Exhibit Fit, Willing, and Able. and it's page 7 of the application, and item number 4, in it, you all certify that you are familiar with all statutes and regulations, including safety regulations and workers' comp. And I just wanted to, and the laws that govern for hire motor carriers, I'd like for you to tell me more about those safety regulations in particular.
You got me. I don't, say the question one more time. I'm sorry.
So on page 7 of 10 of your application, there, number 4, it says, is applicant familiar with all statutes and regulations, including safety regulations and workers' comp laws that govern for hire motor carrier operations in South Carolina? And I was just asking for you to share a little bit more about what you understand those safety regulations to be.
I couldn't tell you right offhand exactly what they say.
Okay, let me just broaden the question to say, what will your safety precautions be in your business from the standpoint of training, ensuring that the people that you have to help you are well prepared?
Well, the guy that I'll have working with me is the same one that I had working with me at Dale J. Cook. So, you know, I would have to do an interview with someone and see where they're at and go from there, I guess.
Thank you. No further questions.
Is there anything else for this witness? All right, hearing Attorney Stark.
Mr. Chairman, I would not want to speak out of school, sir. However, I believe we have a number of evidentiary considerations that may want to be addressed prior to moving on to the recalled witness, sir.
Okay, please share your considerations with me.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, heretofore we have received no exhibits into evidence, although I believe the foundation has been laid for a number of exhibits that were offered into the DMS filing system or e-file before this commission, sir. I believe that the original application filed on October the 12th, 2021 may be important to the record of this case and ought be entered. I don't.
Okay, Attorney, thank you for pointing that out. Attorney Kurtz.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like to enter into the record as an exhibit the original Tytan-Up application, as well as the amended application that was filed on January 12th, 2022. I understand that the commission does not have a copy of the direct testimony that was sent in along with the exhibits attached to that direct testimony. For the purpose of ensuring that that gets to the commission, I will send that over again and would like to enter that into the record as exhibit B and C. And the original application, if I may backtrack, along with the amended application, I will enter into the record as exhibit A. Should the commission need a copy, please let me know.
Okay. Attorney Stark, will you finish?
Yes, sir. I think for organizational cleanliness of the record, perhaps, sir, the original application filed on 10/12/21 perhaps should be entered as its own exhibit, Exhibit 1, that being inclusive of all attachments, sir.
I agree. The original application, along with all of its exhibits, will be marked and entered into the record as hearing exhibit 1.
Yes, sir. Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, I believe that I understood counsel to request also the amended application the latest of which is dated 1/18/2022, that being filed or entered into our DMS this morning, is also being sought to be entered into the record with its attendant attachments. Sir, perhaps number 2?
All right, the amended application along with its exhibits will be marked and entered into the record as hearing exhibit number 2.
Yes, sir. I would note also, Mr. Chairman, that we have not received into evidence the shipper witness affidavit, though it has been referenced significantly by the direct testimony of both the witnesses offered by the applicant.
Attorney Kurtz.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I will enter the shipper witness testimony into evidence. I will mark that as exhibit 5. I will mark the direct testimony of Patricia Richardson along with its incorporated exhibits as exhibit 3. And I would like to enter the direct testimony of Preston Hearn along with its incorporated exhibits as exhibit 4.
Okay. Well, we'll get to the items that we haven't received yet. Right now, we will move the shipper witness affidavit into evidence. It will be marked and entered into the hearing record as hearing exhibit number 3.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No problem, Attorney Kurtz. Anything else, Attorney Stark?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I believe that a cargo insurance quote was offered separately from the attachments to the both original and amended application, sir.
Attorney Kurtz?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. As long as the commission does have a copy of the cargo insurance policy, I will enter that as exhibit 4.
All right. I believe I'm looking at it right now, so we can enter that, mark that, and enter that into the record. The cargo insurance quote will be marked and entered into the record as hearing exhibit number 4. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I believe the driving records, the 10-year driver records of both principal officers of the company were referenced during the course of the testimony. I believe those documents have been filed with the commission. They were filed jointly.
Attorney Kurtz?
Yes, Mr. Commissioner, to explain, I understand the commission does not have the direct testimony of Patricia and Preston. Attached to the direct testimony is the 10-year driving records of both. However, I did separately send the 10-year driving record of Preston Hearn and Patricia Richardson, and I will enter that exhibit into the record as exhibit 5, should that be chronological, if you could please confirm.
Yes, ma'am. The 10-year driving records of Mr. Hearn and Ms. Richardson will be marked as a composite exhibit and entered into the record as hearing exhibit number 5.
Mr. Chairman, would you like me to continue, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I believe that we have received also an amended bill of lading and an amended tariff, although I would note, sir, that during the course of this proceeding, I believe changes and amendments to those underlying documents have been requested by the commission. Mr. Chairman, at this time, I think that it may be wise, sir, to hold for late filed exhibits, exhibit number 6 for a late filed bill of lading with the improved legibility of the page of terms and conditions, sir.
Okay. So just a question for clarification. Do we want to enter into the record the current bill of lading and then reserve a late filed for the amended, or is reserving a late filed for the amended good enough for the record. Which would you like, Ms. Sweet? Okay. All right. So the preference is to thank you, Ms. Sweet, and thank you, Attorney Stark. We will enter the as written here amended bill of lading. We'll mark and enter that into the record as hearing exhibit 6, and mark and enter into the record amended tariff as hearing exhibit 7. All right. Is there anything else, Attorney Stark?
Mr. Chairman, am I to understand that we will not be reserving late filed exhibits for updated or amended versions of those documents, sir?
Oh, no, we will. We will. I just want to get to what we have first and then address what we don't have through the late filed exhibits.
Yes, sir, understood. That concludes my commentary, sir.
Okay. So we will reserve late file exhibits for the amended bill of lading. That will be late file exhibit 8, and the amended tariff will be late filed exhibit 9, and the direct testimony of Mr. Hearn will be, the direct testimony of Ms. Richardson will be marked and marked as a late file exhibit, and exhibit number 10 will be reserved for that, and the direct testimony of Mr. Hearn will be marked as a late file exhibit, and we will reserve exhibit 11 for that. Is there anything else we have not addressed?
Mr. Chairman, I have no further commentary, sir.
All right. Thank you, Attorney Stark. Ms. Wheat? All right. It looks like we have...
Mr. Chairman.
Vice Chair Belzer?
May we recall Ms. Richardson?
Yes, ma'am. We're going to get there. So it looks like we have a complete record. All right. Ms. Attorney Kurtz, we would like to recall Ms. Richardson. Is she available?
Yes, and no objection, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Ms. Richardson, would you please retake the stand?
Yes, sir.
We're going to have to swear you in again because you were excused. If you would, raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly, excuse me, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ms. Richardson? Hi.
Yes.
I apologize. I had geared all my questions toward Mr. Hearn because he was, I didn't have you listed as a witness, let's put it that way. So I apologize for not covering these matters with you. Do you have a copy of the amended tariff?
I do not in front of me. Unfortunately, I had to fly back home for a funeral, so I'm in the process of flying back out.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your family's loss, but and I'm sure that your counsel is going to take notes on some of this. On page 4.
Yes, ma'am, I have been also.
Okay, I'm curious as to what the deposit is based upon.
So I heard your question earlier, and I make everyone aware, just so you know, fully verbally and in writing. Our deposit is required upon booking. The deposit is half of the total estimate. And then our estimated times are also based upon per hour. And I always state in our estimates in writing that if the hours go up or down, we will adjust accordingly, upon the arrival of their shipment. Once their shipment arrives, it starts from the time that we leave our office to the time that we arrive and unload. When we are finished unloading, then the hours are calculated and adjusted accordingly, whether it be up or down, with a 4-hour minimum. The 50% deposit is based upon the estimate at the time that it's given initially.
Okay, so it's the entire estimated amount, not just the minimum charge.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I make the person aware. It's simply because less than 24 hours notice doesn't give us a lot of time to book someone else that may need that spot.
I understand. I'm just, could you add something to the tariff about, on what the deposit is, how the deposit's calculated, on what it's based?
Yes, ma'am.
And then, the excessive distance and long carry charges, that there is no fee, yes, for the bulky items, and that was something that I discussed, with Mr. Hearn. That fee and how it's calculated needs to be added if that's going to be charged.
So there needs further explanation.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And what the rate is, there's no rate for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I think it just needs to be clarified because our rate for bulky items is a flat rate, and that's the additional charge that we're speaking of.
Okay.
Is
that
bulky.
as I was reading that, it sounded like that there is an additional fee. It says an additional fee for carrying articles listed in 2.1 above and excessive distance. That, to me, that 2.3 paragraph, as it currently reads, is in addition to the bulky articles charges listed in 2.1. So if that is an additional fee, it needs to be clarified.
Okay.
Pickup and delivery in 2.4. It says Titan charges an additional fee for making additional pickups or deliveries after the initial stop. Is that a fee, or if y'all are charging by hour, what is that fee?
So additional fees as in additional to the estimate. So originally, say we quote you for a 5-hour estimate, and then, because a lot of times we're asked, could you please stop off here and pick up this item? It's on the way. So additional charges apply if it takes us longer per hour.
Well, maybe it just needs to be clarified, if not included in the original estimate or something like that, if that's what you're saying, if that's your intent. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I'm just trying to work through some things that
need to be clarified. I understand.
Yes, ma'am.
We appreciate that too. And just so you know, we're taking everything into consideration and adjusting accordingly. This is our first rodeo, so.
Well, I understand. And listen, we all learn. I learn every case that comes in, so.
Yes, ma'am.
I won't go over I won't go over the 72 hours again. One thing that and y'all are a new applicant and you don't know, we're a pretty new commission. All the commissioners are fairly new. And so we have, I think there's 7 commissioners, and there are probably seven different versions of what we might consider reasonable time to unpack. So you're not the only one getting questions like this, okay, Ms. Richardson?
Oh, I'm sure. I think it would be really helpful if there were something to go by, some sort of standard to go by. Because like I said, I talked to multiple people and I looked at multiple other businesses and kind of just went based upon theirs. I just feel, me personally, in experience, I feel like, especially having another business where I know that people are always trying to get something for nothing, that I don't feel that it's fair to the moving company in particular to go 30 days out, because anything can happen in 30 days once we've dropped it off and you don't know where it comes from. So I feel like a 72-hour, 3-hour, or 3-day window is enough time to open up your items and go through. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be unpacked and put away, but you need to go through and make sure that there aren't anything broken, there's nothing damaged. Preston makes sure before he leaves that the person that we're shipping to goes over their large items to make sure that there's no physical damage right off before he leaves the site. So, and they sign off on the paper.
I think we've covered some of the others, but on the last page, for the military promotional rate, it states in the last sentence, the hourly rates and charges discussed above will be reduced by $50 for moves with a total invoiced amount of less than $500 and by $100 for moves with a total invoiced amount of more than $500. You might want to, I would suggest adding some clarifying language to that because is that reduction off of the total amount of the bill?
Yes, ma'am.
I think you better clarify that because when it says the hourly rates and charges discussed will be reduced by $50, I mean, there's an argument there that your $100 rate for 2 men in a truck is going to drop to $50. So I think you better clarify that that's for the total bill.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's just I read that several times and thought it was a little confusing. So thank you for coming back and listening to me and answering my question.
Absolutely. I appreciate it because, again, like I said, we're learning as we go as well. So any advice would be well accepted.
Well, I can't give advice, unfortunately, but I
Yes,
am
ma'am.
just pointing out some potential inconsistencies or areas of confusion that I had. So thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions for this witness? All right, Ms. Richardson, you are excused for the second time.
Thank you.
Ms. Kurtz, do you have anything else to present to the commission?
I do not, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, ma'am. Office of Regulatory Staff.
Chairman Williams, ORS has filed a letter today, January 18th, 2022, with the commission in this docket. ORS has conducted inspection of the company's equipment and records and has concluded that it's our opinion that the company has met the requirements of fit, willing, and able for Class E household movers in South Carolina. However, ORS reserves the right, in light of the late file documents in this docket, to alter our opinion based on a review of those documents. Mr. Chairman, I move that ORS letter filed today with this commission be moved into the record as the next hearing exhibit.
Thank you, ma'am. The ORS letter will be marked as hearing exhibit 12 and enter into the record.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Thomas McGill is available for commissioner questions as well.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank
That's
you,
all.
Mr. McGill. Commissioners, do we have questions for Mr. McGill? All right, it appears we have no questions for Mr. McGill. Thank you, Ms. Rainey. If there's nothing else for the commission at this time, seeing that there's nothing, we are. Did someone?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Who am I
would
speaking
like
to?
This is Victoria Kurtz.
Oh, Ms. Kurtz. I'm sorry, I didn't see you on the screen. Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
that's okay. I would like to reserve 2 more spots in the late filed exhibits because when I sent over the direct testimony, I also sent over Tytan-Up's Form E filing. I would like to reserve Exhibit 12 in the late formed exhibits to be Titan's Form E filing and Exhibit 13 to be Tytan-Up's Form H filing.
Okay, I think we're on hearing exhibit 13. So the late file exhibits will be hearing exhibit 13 and 14.
Okay.
Mr. Commissioner, those exhibits that Ms. Kurtz just mentioned are generally filed with ORS. Just wanted to put that on the record and not necessarily filed with the commission. So.
Well, I don't disagree with you, Ms. Rainey.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I don't disagree with you at all. So, Ms. Kurtz, you heard Ms. Rainey. The late file exhibits are there if you choose to use them, but this may be an opportunity for you to reach out to ORS and have a discussion.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify if they had been sent over. So I will get those sent over and make sure ORS has them.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we are adjourned.